Hey y'all, this is Cindy. I'm the Tireless Tangler, and you've arrived at day 64 of the 100 Days of Zentangle Project 2019. Today's tangle is the Zentangle Original Ratoon. Most of us are probably familiar with Ratoon. It's fairly recent on the scene, and let me walk you through it. I also want to remind you that I already have a Ratoon video up, but it is my Celtic version of Ratoon, and feel free to check that out in my Celtic Knots for Beginners playlist, or I think it's in the pattern tutorials playlist as well, so check that out. All right, so since I have done a version already, I'm not going to repeat anything. I'm going to stick with the step out version here, and we're going to see if I can get it right and explore maybe some different ways to approach it. Okay, this pattern was deconstructed by Molly Hollabaugh, Maria Thomas's daughter, and it begins with an inked circle. And then, as we just did, we are going to want to put 6 sides. Now, that is not to say that you cannot do this with 8. You absolutely can. I guess you can do it with as many as you want to, since these do not connect to each other. Well, they sort of do. They will. So ink a circle and put 6 of these little seed shapes, touching it all the way around, equal, fairly equal distance. And this pattern works whether it's wonky or not, but it'll be frustrating for you unless you can get it sort of equal. I know it was frustrating for me, and it took me a while to get it. Now, the next step is to add another seed shape that is equal distance between these two. My hint to you is to think this through before you add it about where you're going to put it. For this very reason, let me zoom in here and adjust this light just a little bit. See if I can get that to stay. Oh, that's much better. Okay. So you're going to want to think about this. We're going to add a seed shape that is equal distance-ish between these two, okay? And it's going to be sort of in a second row, sort of Mandela style, okay? But you don't want to put it down here too close. The reason for that is that you're going to connect these with a gentle S curve. And so you're going to want to give yourself enough room to do that, okay? So let me sort of place this in, okay? And then go ahead and finish that, but each time following the line up and thinking, where does this need to be? Ooh. So probably not there. That might be a little close in and pointed the wrong direction. This one's going to be okay, mostly because these are pointed narrowly. You'll see what I mean here in just a minute. Now these can be short or tall, fat or thin. It really doesn't matter. Each of them will give your pattern a different look. Okay? So let's see how I did. Now this is the part that confuses people. That is to connect the tip of this and have it become an aura to that. Then we're going to aura this, and again, This aura can be thick or thin, but it's going to have to match up here, so think it through. And that's your next step. Okay? Now, for me, what I found on this is that this is much easier for me to do if I begin with the aura, but then of course you have to keep in mind where you're going, and then you start with the tip of this and aura your seed. Yes? And that simple change helped me a lot on this. So I start with the aura part down here by the seed shape. Make that gentle S curve. And you can see now that we're doing this why you don't want these too far down. Otherwise it's going to get in the way of your lines being flowing, if you will. And then you want to aura this from the tip here. And if my explanation doesn't help you with this, there are a bunch of Ratoon videos out there, so feel free to check all of those out. So again, I'm going to start here to the tip. And aura. Oh, this one is going to be tough. Now, this is why you want to point your little petal shapes correctly. So watch. That turned out to be a bit of an awkward line there. And so as you arrange these, you want them to flow into each other. And so try to keep that in mind. It might help with your finished product, if you will. Whoops. Okay. Now, the last step is to take your outer aura here and in hollabah fashion connect it to the tip of the bottom petal next over. And then of course you fill in the rest of the aura. And we have one section done. Now let's finish the rest. Remember to start with the outer aura, or you will get your lines turned around, as I know from personal experience. And it doesn't matter which direction you go. Just keep in mind where you want to end up, if you will. Now this one is representative of what you probably want to avoid, but yet it still has its own charm. I'm choosing to think of it that way anyway. All right. I really recommend you guys do this in steps. Always start from the same place. Always do them in the same order, and this will turn out much nicer for you. And even if it's a little tight like that, it's not too bad. And that is Ratoon. Now, as far as shading goes, you really can do what you want. Of course, depending on what you do with this circle. Of course, to me, it begs gems. I have seen it shaded as in a water drop or even as a pearl. I have seen someone do a pattern beneath the water here, so it looks like it's sort of, well, like seen behind a bubble or a water drop or something. So there's multiple things you can do. A pretty simple gem goes nicely in here. Now, this is not perfect, and it's not meant to be. I recognize that this pattern is hard for a lot of people. So I wanted to show you that turning out like this is okay, because there's a lot of things you can do with it like this. And if you make a mess of it, black in your little holes. You can put fill patterns in these. You can, what else can we do? You could stipple this, Stipple is drawing with dots, basically. It uses light and shadow. But anyway, that can add some depth. You can use striping. You can do patterns in here. One thing I've done in here is somebody told me it's called ripped screen. I can't speak. Ripped screen. Thank you. Was it Patricia that told me that? Thank you, Patricia. If I got your name wrong, I'm sorry. I'll thank you again correctly in the next one. And this is ripped screen, basically, where you do a screen pattern, basic screen fill, but you leave small gaps as you go across, leaving a torn look to it. That's one of my favorite fills. You can fill this with pertains. I'm so bad at this pattern. Don't talk about me. For CZT, I'm really bad. I shouldn't say that. I'm bad at well, okay, I shouldn't say that either. I need a whole workover, don't I, guys? I'm frequently disappointed in my result with pertains. And that's just a personal problem, isn't it? All right, so you can see lots of different things you can do with it, or if you can get these lines nice and beautiful and you want to leave it plain, leave it plain. Shading, you can do whatever you want. You can shade where these cross, like we do in Hollabaugh, and we've done several other patterns lately. You can take your shading in like this to emphasize your pattern lines and bring this back in the background. So many things you can do with this pattern, and so many ways you can approach it that I'm excited to see what you guys come up with. So let's get it in today's pattern, or in the 100 Days of Zentangle pattern, see what we can come up with for Ratoon. Oh dear me. I have a bad feeling about this. Is that Star Wars? I'm quoting Star Wars. Let's try here. Beginning with the inner auras. And I'm going to start with a smaller center. I may pearl this, but I doubt I will put any kind of gem in there. I kind of want to leave room for my lines. I'm going to try to set this up sort of the way I did arcanned yesterday. Let's see. Didn't do a very good job on that at all, did I? Hmm. Hmm. See? I already made a mess of this, and I don't know what to do. All right, this lesson is in what Cindy decides to do with this when she makes a mess of it. Because I really don't know. This is going to be out of picture. This is going to be a huge problem right here because I made this so far down that I can't make this turn here. Let's go wild and crazy then. If we can't, we can't. Let's own it and see what happens. I think I told you guys once that I had a voice teacher in college said if you're going to make, no, in Germany, said if you're going to make a mistake, make it big. I have gotten really good at the big mistakes. Oh, I'm so disappointed in this. Okay, Cindy, calm down. All right, and this ends. Oh my God. I need a CZT. I need to sign up for a class. I am sitting here with a funny smile on my face because you know what Maria Thomas would say about this. It's great. How fun. Explore it. I love that woman. She's just the best thing. All right. Well, my four-pronged ratoon. Let's see if we can get it over here now. I can honestly say none of my ratoons have ever been like this. And maybe that's all right. Then if you guys have a mess, you'll see that it's not so bad. Now this one, this is actually fun. And I actually didn't know this would work this way, like with dipping it in and stuff. And it's not my favorite iteration of this, but hey, if it works, it works. And it's all shaky and wiggly. Okay, that's all right. It's funky, but it is sort of flowery. Let's see what I can do with this. What to do indeed. Oh, poor little ratoon. What a mess. I would talk about the jelly roll, but we know how that ended up last time. I am just doing line weight and rounding because my lines are a bit of a mess. And this is one of my favorite methods for covering that up. Doesn't always work out very well for me, as some of you know. But practice makes perfect, so I'm going to get really good at it eventually. I just made a decision here. Oh my goodness. My sad little friend. I'm very tempted to black those in entirely, but as soon as I do that, I'll regret it. Then I'll end up with a great big black space and no Ratoon. I only say this because it has happened to me before. So go easy. One thing that I have learned is that a lot of art goes through an ugly phase. Don't sweat your ugly phases, and if your ugly phase stays till the end, give it a chance. See if you can follow through with it. Well, I like the middle. That's about it. That's about it, guys. I may add some more stipple. Yep. And that'll add a bit of interest. I forgot this. Also have to remember this is very small. Ooh, I like that. Makes it look less unfinished, if you will. Stipple, I learned when I had my first lesson with it way back 20 years ago. Is very important to be patient and take your time. You cannot rush it. If you do, you get sloppy dots. So take your time if you're going to do this kind of thing. To get the look you want, you're going to want to put more dots in areas you want to look darker or where it might be shadowed, and less away from that where it looks lighter. Okay, I don't hate the way that turned out. It looks like a sand dollar, sort of. Except sand dollars look better. Of course, nature's always better, isn't it? Anyway, that is it for, I don't know what day we're on. That is it for today. And I will see you tomorrow. Guys, thank you so much for your prayers and support. Thank you. Thank you.